The gel might hold, but Gavin Newsom's political future, it's unraveling fast. He sold the California dream and then turned it into a nightmare. He's letting California crumble under the weight of crime, homelessness, and high taxes while he's busy fundraising for a power grab and plotting his next political move. But he makes a fatal mistake, one so out of touch it doesn't just expose him, it ends his political career. The man is like a used car dealer who set the lot on fire and now wants to sell the ashes to the rest of America. Then a bombshell move out of Washington that has the deep state rattled, shaking up the very intel officials who helped push the Russia collusion hoax. So we've got Gavin selling wreckage and the deep state starting to sweat. One thing's clear, the house of cards is starting to collapse. As always, please hit that like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because things are heating up as we head into the midterms. And looking even further ahead, there's one guy who has his eyes set on 2028. Gavin Newsom? He's apparently hired a team of snarky keyboard warriors just to tweet for him 24/7. It's basically an effort to be more like Trump. But let me tell you, their posts, they're not just crude, they're completely unhinged. Take this gem that is aimed at Dana Perino over at Fox News. She's a woman who's a total class act and always plays it fair. Newsom's official account tweeted, and I'm quoting, "Dana Ding Dong Perino, never heard of her until today, is melting down because of me, Gavin C. Newsom. Fox hates that I'm America's most favorite governor, ratings king, saving America while Trump can't even conquer the big stairs on Air Force One anymore. Trump has lost his step and Fox is losing it because when I type, America now wins. Thank you to your attention to this matter." Okay, that is bizarre. Please tell me below your thoughts on this tactic, because in my opinion, there are so many things wrong with this tweet. First off, let's not forget, Newsom once supported the No Kings protest against Trump, yet now he's calling himself the ratings king. That's quite a turnaround, especially when his own approval ratings are crashing and burning. Take a look. This is based on 30 separate polls, and they all have Newsom with a 27% favorability rating. That's not a win, that is a warning sign. Now here are a couple more examples of his latest tweets. This one reads, quote, "Has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Kid Rock, he's no longer hot?" Not sure where he's going with that one, very bizarre. And then he teed off on Greg Gutfeld, also at Fox News, writing, quote, "I seldom watch low-rated garbage man Greg Gutfeld, but when I do, I marvel at the fake laughter on the show. It sounds like a bad laugh machine. It's so obnoxious and disgusting, just like him, always laughing no matter what is said. Real patriots hate it when Fox edits the tapes, puts garbage man Greg on. Fox ought to get smart and not use losers like this. Also, they shouldn't allow negative ads about me. Thank you." I mean, why shouldn't they allow negative ads about you? That's part of being a politician and running for office. Now, Newsom's clearly trying to mimic Trump's bombastic style. Loud tweets, personal attacks, nonstop drama. But it falls flat when you don't have winning policies or real ideas to point to. Trump has a base and bold agendas, even if controversial. Newsom, he's left with empty slogans and a state crumbling under his watch. Trying to play the tough guy on Twitter will not fix homelessness, crime, or even economic collapse. It just highlights how hollow his leadership really is. And Californians should have seen this coming, because remember this comment?
"If you can't trust Gavin with his best friend's wife, how can you trust him with your state?"
That cuts right to the core of his character and credibility. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Republicans dust off that line and use it for the next presidential debate. But it's not just about character, it's about priorities. And when you have MSNBC, typically a safe space for Democrats, when they start to turn against Newsom, you know the situation is dire.
See, the Democrats are trying to find their footing, and it's quite embarrassing, actually. I mean, Gavin Newsom, I mean, have you seen what he's doing online? And it's like, just take a deep breath. Yeah. Don't try to turn the ship 180 degrees and one. They don't know what to do. I have a good idea. Instead of trying to school Donald Trump, talk into the camera about affordability. Talk about making groceries more affordable. Talk about what you're going to do for housing. Donald Trump's not on the ballot in 26. He's not on the ballot in 28. Why try to drag Muhammad Ali in the ring when you got Chuck Wepner standing right in front of you? And Wepner's a bleeder. He's a bleeder. You want him. So why are you going, "I'm going after Donald"? No, you're not. You're not running against Donald Trump.
I never thought I'd say this, but I actually agree with Joe. The problem? Newsom can't credibly talk about affordability when he owns the crisis crushing California. Take this latest blow, for example. The chairman of Bed Bath & Beyond announces they will not open any retail stores in California, writing, quote, "We're taking a stand because it's time for common sense." His reasoning? High taxes, high fees, and forced unsustainable wages. He goes on to say, California has created one of the most overregulated, expensive, and risky environments for businesses in America. Maybe that explains why Gavin Newsom's latest fundraising stunt isn't for Californians. It's for everyone but them. The governor is shaking that digital tin cup nationwide, fueling talk that he's already plotting a 2028 presidential run. What's the money for? A shameless ballot push to let Democrats gerrymander California even harder. His revenge play, obviously, against Texas Republicans for redrawing their own maps. There's just one problem with this. Texas is allowed to redraw the lines mid-cycle, unlike California.
There's a fundamental difference from what's going on in Texas and what's going on in California. Texas law allows mid-cycle redistricting. It just takes an act of the legislature, which is what they're undergoing today. California law does not allow that. Several decades ago, the people of California took that power away from the politicians and empowered a citizens redistricting commission to make those decisions. And taking that power back from the people and giving it back to the politicians is going to require a special election in November and is absolutely the wrong thing to do.
When you don't have winning policies to run on, you resort to shady maneuvers wrapped in zero transparency. That's how Democrats show their contempt for the American people, acting like they're above scrutiny and demanding blind trust while California burns. Just look at Assembly Elections Chair Gail Pellerin, dodging every question about who's really responsible for California's proposed congressional map. Maps that we know Gavin Newsom helped orchestrate.
Who exactly is responsible for the maps? Who do we tell California voters drew these?
Well, so the maps have been posted on our website since 8 o'clock yesterday. The lines are very clear.
And Governor Gavin Newsom promised that no special interests or this would be transparent. This would not be done in a back room. So we're trying to ascertain in the very short amount of time that you have to deliberate this, who exactly are the maps responsible for?
Happening very quickly.
When you consume something, don't you want to know who makes it? When you are presented with something, don't you want to know where it's coming from? Don't voters deserve to know?
When I go to a restaurant, I don't need to meet the chef. I just enjoy the food.
This is starting to sound like a secret recipe that they're not allowed to share. Voters shouldn't have to guess who's cooking up their future. This is obviously blatant disrespect for the people who actually live here. And if transparency was the goal, we wouldn't need a detective to solve the mystery. But speaking of playing political games with people's lives, Gavin Newsom's wife just weighed in on a deeply personal and explosive issue. Watch this.
We are a country of immigrants. That is just a fact. It is who we are. And yet here we are watching families be targeted, watched, hunted, farm workers being chased across fields. These are some of the hardest working people on earth, and they literally feed the nation. Shame on this federal administration for doing this. Shame on them for choosing cruelty, for terrifying families, ruining children's lives, just to make a political point.
Newsom's wife suddenly cares about terrifying families and ruining children's lives? Where was that concern when families were literally torn apart after losing their children to violent crimes committed by illegal immigrants? Parents have been burying their children. The very people she's defending, they're not being killed, they're just being sent back to their homes. Her selective outrage is as transparent as Newsom's leadership, all about political points with zero real compassion. And just when you think it can't get any more bizarre, here comes a radical voice from the left suggesting women should start dating, you ready for this? Illegal immigrants. Not for love, but as a way to stick it to Trump. Check out this next level of crazy.
If you hate this administration and you are single, the most radical thing you can do right now is start dating immigrants. Think about it. It hasn't been working out with these American men anyway, has it? I wonder why. Well, look at our country. That's why. So when you find a man from another country who can truly appreciate your genius, your beauty, your whole life will change. And on top of that, you're going to piss off the president. Woo! Oh, they're stealing our jobs. Wait till they start stealing all the women.
So her solution to supposed discrimination is more discrimination. Got it. Well, newsflash. Trump doesn't care who you date. You could parade a dozen illegal boyfriends down Main Street and he would still be focused on fixing the border that she thinks is a welcome mat. See, she's not part of the revolution. She's part of the TikTok psych ward with Wi-Fi. So while she's swiping right for her next law-breaking boyfriend, President Trump is turning the heat up on illegal migrants. Literally. Watch this.
Now, if you look at the structure that's behind me, it's tall, which makes it very, very difficult to climb, almost impossible. It also goes deep into the ground, which would make it very difficult, if not impossible, to dig under. And today, we are also going to be painting it black. That is specifically at the request of the president, who understands that in the hot temperatures down here, when something is painted black, it gets even warmer, and it will make it even harder for people to climb.
The black paint, it will raise the temperature of that wall on average by about 20 degrees, but my guess is we are just now going to see migrants wearing gloves as they scale the big, beautiful wall. But A for effort. Now, while President Trump cracks down on illegals, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, she's going after the deep state. She just revoked 37 security clearances tied to a Barack Obama-ordered intel report, the very one that helped launch the Russiagate hoax. Looks like the reckoning is finally here. Now, before we dive into the details she just divulged in an interview, let's take a trip down memory lane. Watch this.
So you have seen direct evidence of collusion?
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigations.
Look, I don't think you can seriously argue that the Russians weren't trying to help Trump and hurt Clinton, as well as sow discord in the United States. The evidence is quite overwhelming on this.
Put out a statement and a report basically saying that they found no evidence of collusion between the Trump team and the Russian government. Have Democrats found any evidence of collusion?
Yes, we have.
You've said on this show and others that there is direct evidence of collusion. Were you wrong about that now that you've seen the summary of the Special Counsel's report?
No, because I was saying no collusion.
Well, what's your
They're
evidence?
just wrong.
You've been saying that on TV
yes.
for years.
Well, I will tell you, and I've also been saying, as you know, that the evidence is in plain sight.
There it is. Adam Schiff once again looking straight into the camera and lying through his teeth. He didn't just mislead the country. He lit the fuse on years of division, distraction, and distrust. And now the people who pushed this hoax, they are finally being held accountable. Tulsi isn't just revoking clearances, she's revoking the credibility of the entire deep state machine. Watch.
The intelligence community assessed in the months leading up to that November 2016 election that, yes, Russia was trying to interfere in our election by sowing discord and chaos, but stating over and over again that Russia did not appear to have any preference for one candidate over the other. They viewed both as equally bad for Russia's interest.
We all know from there Obama called that infamous meeting with his national cabinet in early December, where he directed then DNI James Clapper and then CIA Director John Brennan to come up with a new Intelligence Committee assessment that contradicted the ones that had been produced by the intelligence community. You don't have to take my word for it. Here's James Clapper.
John Brennan and Jim Comey and I are part of the group that were tasked by President Obama to put together all the reporting we had on the Russian interference, and which we did.
The result of that was the Steele dossier that said Putin did interfere with the election because he wanted Trump to win.
They did this using shoddy intelligence, little pieces of intelligence gathered from places that intelligence professionals refused to reference previously because they knew it was substandard and did not meet the quality and the credibility that is expected of them as intelligence professionals. And they used the Steele dossier.
So John Brennan, James Clapper, and others within the intelligence community knew that Steele dossier was a political manufactured document that was intended to be weaponized against then candidate Donald Trump. Now, once Trump was elected into office, Brennan, Clapper, and Comey, they used that Steele dossier as a source stating that Putin and Russia tried to help Trump win the election.
They were not happy with the outcome of that election. And so they created this politicized, weaponized piece of fake intelligence that, as you mentioned, then went on to serve as a foundation for everything that came after, the multiple investigations, the years-long Mueller investigation, 2 congressional impeachments, investigations in the raid at Mar-a-Lago. The list goes on and on. Ultimately, the real crime here was against the American people because this action singularly undermined the integrity of our democratic republic.
That's the real insurrection. Intelligence officials abusing their power to try and overturn the results of an election they didn't like. They dragged this country through years of division and chaos, all based on a lie they helped manufacture.
These are bad actors that have to be rooted out. Our national security depends on it. The ability for the American people's trust to be earned back depends on exposing the bad actors and holding them accountable. And that's what President Trump is determined to do.
And now that the tables have turned, now that Democrats are the ones being investigated for actual crime, not made up hoaxes, they're crying foul. Suddenly they're terrified of government weaponization, the very thing they pioneered.
There's so much fear, which is part of the Trump cash patel. What they want to do is they want to intimidate and threaten people. Look at what they're doing now with Comey. This is all a way to weaponize the law. If you stand up against us, if you speak against us, we will bring the full course of the law. And even if we don't win, we're going to destroy your lives by causing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal bills, reputational damages.
Let me get this straight. Comey, the guy who signed off on spying against Trump based on fake evidence, is now the victim? This isn't fear, it's accountability. And for the first time in years, the people who abuse their power are finally sweating. And I say good. It's long overdue. Now coming up, Democrats, they are starting to turn on each other. Things are going south. Stephen A. Smith, he melts down over his party, while a CNN host commits a fireable offense. She defends Donald Trump. It's pretty amazing. I almost fell off my chair. Go ahead, click on that video you see now on your screen, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.